I do believe if we're not being looked at, then I'll do my part to get us looked at. The beautiful thing for networks or, if you will, streaming companies is that the NFL is a 365-day-a-year interest factor. A lot of programming, you have to spend as much to make it, to promote it, as you do to make it. The Cowboys are a soap opera 365 days.
The streaming will begin
when it gets slow, I'll start hearing.
Please take your seats.
And so it's wonderful to have the great athletes, have the great players, but there's something more there. There's sizzle, there's emotion, and if you will, there's controversy. That controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention.
Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course. Joe Boo has just gone south and he took the funky chicken with him. All we got is Bucky the Beaver, and he's trying to figure out how to get out of this sinking ship right now. Jerry Jones put it out there. This is theater. That's all this is. The more controversy, the better when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Well, I tell you what, Jerry, you got it all right there. We're here 6 days away from the trade deadline. And, you're out there talking about those picks that you got, and we're active and we're looking for players and everything else. You're doing the same thing, and we just keep falling for it over and over again. As P.T. Barnum said, there's a sucker born every minute, and there's more of them that are Cowboy fans that are believing into that shit. Here's where you want to understand. Today's one of those days that I feel actually kind of vindicated a little bit here. And, I know people will say, you're just an idiot. And that's true most of the time. But as Stephen A. Smith says, even a broken clock can be right, twice a day. But this is interesting that Diane Rossini said this on the Dan Le Batard show, okay? And we've seen this happen before with Adam Schefter when Aaron Rodgers rumors were being started by Adam Schefter that he was going to be traded, and he did it on draft night. And he was like, oh, well, that's just kind of like what I put together. Because the way it comes across when they report things is like it's fact. Let's go to the tape here and listen to walking it back that I basically lied.
Not talk to any NFL teams. And Jimmy Sexton and Steve Sarkisian, just to be clear, that the reporting I did not come from them. Like, Steve didn't call me on Saturday morning and be like, hey, report this. Not talk to any NFL team.
Okay, wait. So wait a minute. So you come out with the story, and all of the people who are tied to it, you ain't talked to any of those. You ain't gotten any information from any of those to come out with the story, but you come out with the story and say, let's listen to it again. Let's listen to it again. Okay, go ahead, Doug.
Not talk to any NFL teams. And Jimmy Sexton and Steve Sarkisian, just to be clear, that the reporting I did not come from them. Like, Steve didn't call me on Saturday morning and be like, hey, report this. Not talk to any.
So what you have to understand is there's a lot of bullshit that's out there. This is all for entertainment purposes only. That's what it is. And Jerry Jones playing with our emotions, watching us go over and over again. What's that? Where were they? Okay. Jerry Jones, doing what he does, playing with our emotions and stuff. Hey, he's got us wrapped around the finger and knows that we're living and dying, and we're hoping and praying that this is going to be it. In fact, I think winning might actually hurt that. And I look at some of the moves that they make, and I look at this and I say, are we really this bad? I mean, it's almost like you have to try this hard to be bad. I was talking with DMV this morning, and we were talking about why the hell didn't they give Al Harris a chance at defensive coordinator? Why not? You can sit here and look at and say, from the time Al Harris got here, what the secondary looked like. Because he took guys like Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker and Trayvon Diggs and Bland and made them an incredible take the ball away secondary. Why is it that that guy didn't get an opportunity to maybe become a defensive coordinator? Everybody, oh, he's too young. He doesn't have enough experience. Well, you know what? You don't have experience until you do. And instead, we end up going through all the retreads and things and changed the philosophy. You could have kept Al Harris and kept a defense together that was actually performing. Because it was a system that was working. Deron Bland, more pick sixes in a season than anybody else. Diggs, most interceptions in a season this century. But we said, no, that's okay. We'll let those guys go. Because you look at it now, Diggs completely lost. You can say maybe that's injuries. Bland looks like he's overpaid. Your safeties, I don't know what happened to Donovan Wilson. I don't know what happened to Malik Hooker. The secondary collapsed where you actually had great guys. Why wouldn't the Cowboys look there instead of saying, let's start the whole slate over after Dan Quinn left? Yeah, Dan Quinn, who had the defense humming, it would have been a natural succession. For whatever reason, they didn't want to give Al Harris an opportunity. Okay, fine. I get that. But this defense, they have made, it seems, every mistake possible. Every mistake possible. And so when you see, I'm like, do they do their homework? You know what the selling point was for the players they signed this offseason was? They were first-round picks. They were first-round picks. And this is where DMV put it and said, okay. He said, how would you deem what Mozzie has done in his career? Would you deem him a bust? And I said, at this point, you kind of have to look at it that way. And I said, I'm not going to put all the blame on Mozzie as much as I'm also going to look at the organization that failed Mozzie. They drafted a player who could do this, stop the run. Sorry, we want you to be a pass rusher. You know, it's kind of like, I had this exact situation just the other day. I'm working on this guest suite, okay? I got all the tile work done, and I've got my shower stub out there that's galvanized pipe, right? And I need to unscrew that so I can put the shower in there, right? And I grab a pair of my electrician dikes. I'm sorry, it's probably not the right term anymore. They used to be called dikes, but they're actually side cutters, okay? Or, lineman pliers, whatever you want to call them, okay? They're electrical wire cutters. And I had that there because I was doing some electrical work. And I try and put that on there to screw it. Now, if anybody who understands what side cutters are like, they're not made to take a pipe out. And I'm trying to, I can't, it opens up wide enough to get on there, but it just won't grab a hold of it. It won't grab a hold of it because I just didn't feel like going down the steps out to my truck and getting my pipe wrench. So I'm trying to force this in here to make it work. And it didn't work. It didn't work. Why? Because it's not the right tool for what you got. Lineman pliers? Hey, if I need to go work an electrical panel It's exactly what I need. Snip the wires, strip them, boom. Can't do that with the pipe wrench. Can't do it. A pipe wrench won't do that. Pipe wrench, I'll get electrocuted if I start trying to pull some wires and stuff in the panel. Okay? But when I went out and got my pipe pliers, boom, a couple seconds. And that's what the Cowboys do. We understand you're an edge rusher, but you can play tackle. If you play tackle, you can play one technique. Hey, Mozzie, we understand your whole career has been clogging the middle and that you've got one sack in college. But that's okay. Forget about trying to stop the run. We want you to rush the quarterback.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
Mozzie is the wire cutters when you need the pipe wrench. So I don't blame Mozzie for all of the lack of production. They got a guy who could do one thing and you said you got to do another. And didn't have the support to do it. Okay. When we brought in all of these first round drafted players, why are we going back to where they were drafted and looking at that and saying, well, at some point people thought they were great? Why aren't we looking at what they were doing since they got here? Bro, look at this. Kenneth Murray, okay? Kenneth Murray is the lowest rated linebacker in all of NFL. And when you watch this, let's watch this. I'm going to just watch this.
10.
Watch the red box. Watch Murray. You see him in the red box there, right? Look at this. Now, granted, it looks probably worse than it is because he was off balance, okay? He was off balanced, so it's easy for the offensive lineman to get it. The problem is he's off balance because he doesn't seem to know how to shed a block. His arms are flailing. Look at his arms just flailing. That's where you have to meet pressure. You use your flipper and hit into him and shed him away. You don't just sit here, I'm about to be hit. I'm about to be hit, and go flying. Watch it. Watch.
Second and 10.
What is this? What is this? You're not supposed to be taking on the blow. You're supposed to be delivering the blow, shocking him, and get going.
They go with Harvey on the toss.
Look at that.
There goes Harvey. Harvey's got it first down.
Look at that.
Harvey's looking for the end zone. Harvey takes it home.
That
10.
is a disgrace.
They go with Harvey on the toss.
That is a disgrace. That is technique. That's positioning. And that's desire. That's pathetic. And you see that with Kenneth Murray. You see that kind of stuff with Sam Williams getting blown up by a wide receiver and then laughing about it. How is it that these guys keep getting blown up? This defense stinks. I've never seen anything this bad. Now, here's the thing. I don't know that the Cowboys are going to actually make a move after, all that's going on. It's kind of like we got 6 days of staying relevant. We'll have I know what I'll do. I know what I'll be doing on Tuesday. Tuesday, I'll be sitting here probably doing a live stream 3 to 4 o'clock, just like Football Frenzy, waiting for a crazy move. That's not going to happen. That we're going to be looking for a savior to save us. Save yourselves. Save yourselves. If the Cowboys make a move. Now, we're hearing that Trey Henderson, okay, now again, despite a 3-5 start this season, Cincinnati Bengals reportedly are not looking to trade star pass rusher Trey Henderson. Jeremy Fowler, the Dallas Cowboys, and San Francisco 49ers have expressed interest in Henderson, but the Bengals have no plans to trade him. Henderson is set to become a free agent at the end of the season after reworking his 1-year, $29 million deal with the Bengals back in August. The 30-year-old Henderson entered the season having posted 17.5 sacks in back-to-back campaigns last season and has led the NFL in sacks, earned his first career first-team All-Pro, and finished the second in the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. That was last year. Despite that, Henderson and the Bengals were unable to agree to a long-term extension. Okay, blah, 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 blah. He did not play against the Steelers due to a hip injury, and he aggravated the ailment this past Sunday against the Jets, forcing him to leave the game early. Okay, so trading for Henderson, of course they're going to say, no, we're not trading, because they're trying to up the price. They so want to move him and get something in return. If they don't, then they're stupid and inept, and they're doing malpractice. Guaranteed, they lose on Sunday, that you cancel Christmas. There's no hope of coming. I know they're holding out hope that maybe we can get a win. Maybe Joe Burrow comes back. Maybe we can make the playoffs. Maybe. But that shit goes out the window if you lose again. It just does. And lo and behold, here's where it gets to be funny. Back where I was going earlier when I was saying that from time to time, I get things right. And I'm even ahead of the curve. I'm going to say 2017 ahead of the curve. And I think I talked about this even last night. And it's funny because now all of a sudden today, I'm hearing these kinds of things. Here is, let's just go to the clip. We'll put it there. Let's just go to the clip.
Great. It's going to be Peter. But anyway, so we got our insider, we got our front office executive.
All right, here we go.
You're going to tell me, if you right now, as we're approaching the deadline, you tell me what phone call you would make if you were working in an NFL front office, and we'll see what Lewis thinks of it. What's number one?
If I'm the San Francisco 49ers, they just acquired Keon White from the Patriots, I am calling the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm calling every day, and I'm saying, what will it cost to get us Trey Hendrickson? We know the injuries have hit them. We also know they're still in the thick of this. I think Trey Hendrickson right now, the Bengals, and I know this because teams are calling, Bengals are saying, he's not for sale. Let's see if they lose this Sunday, and suddenly Trey Hendrickson might be for sale. 1-year deal, half the season left. If the season's going south, do the Bengals try to get a second-round or third-round pick for this veteran asset? If I'm the Niners, yes, Keon White's a nice piece, I guess.
Yeah.
But for all the injuries, gosh, Trey Hendrickson down the stretch against the Rams and the Seahawks, huge piece.
I love it from that side. What do you think?
It makes sense to me. I'd also be trying to call the Raiders right now and see if I could get Maxx Crosby.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure that they would rebuff me. I'll tell you what, Trey Hendrickson, there's another team that I'd be picking up the phone right now and calling Cincy and see if I can get him. That'd be Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Look, Lou Anarumo should go ahead and see if he can get his old guy back in
player.
there. Exactly, and see if he can get him in the fold with Latu. I'm telling you.
Here's the question I want to ask you, though. I hear you.
it.
Look, so many teams could use Trey Hendrickson, obviously. And the Bengals' loss this past weekend might have been the worst loss of the NFL season so far. A 2-touchdown lead against a team that was winless, and you wind up losing. But the division is still in reach. Like, if you're Cincinnati, are you trading away your defense is so bad, I guess, even with him. Should they be, if they lose this weekend, should they trade him?
I would be thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. Look, Cincinnati's so unconventional. They do things that kind of sometimes make you scratch your head and sit there and go, what is your team building philosophy? But if he's on the block, hey, call Indianapolis yourself and see if they want.
But I love it. I love that one. Let's go to the next one here.
Here we go.
The Dallas Cowboys are in desperate straits. What do we do?
They're horrendous on defense right now. That is the nicest way I can put it. And yet you look at it and they look clueless also. I'm calling the Saints, and I'm calling for a 36-year-old linebacker, Demario Davis. I just need a veteran leader out there right now at this point. Yes, we know that they got Kenny Clark, and that's who Jerry was so excited about. What is happening in the back end, and who is calling the shots? To me, Demario Davis, 36 years old, last year of a contract, Saints going nowhere. It's a good win for both of them. Put them on a team that can at least contend.
What do you think?
Yeah, here's the only problem with Demario, though. You just wonder how much tread does he have left on the tires, and he's one of the people I respect the very most as far as linebackers are concerned. So if I'm looking for a trade for Dallas right now, I'm looking for a guy who can help me now and a guy in the future. How about Devin Lloyd down Jacksonville? How about if he was on the block with the way my man can play the run and the pass, and as young as he still is in a contract year, that may be a call that I'd be trying to make.
I hear you, but I get the thinking, Peter, and I like it. They need an adult in the room on
That's true.
to see if they can salvage their season. All right, one more. Steelers.
Pittsburgh.
Okay, I'll leave it right there. Now, as far as linebackers go, we said Kenneth Murray is last, dead last. Demario Davis is rated at 11. Granted, he is 36 years old. He has been the heart and soul of that defense in New Orleans. And that was a guy who I had in my man cave when he was a free agent with the Jets. And I said, this is the kind of guy that the Dallas Cowboys need. And in his time, you think about what the Cowboys have done over the years, where they've gone through and drafted Van Der Esch and going through that, bringing in the Anthony, I can't even remember his last name, on one leg and stuff, going through linebacker after linebacker to the point where we are with Kenneth Murray, who is just unwatchable. I don't know that New Orleans, because Demario has become the face of that franchise. He has become a fixture in New Orleans if New Orleans would even trade him. And as good as I am with Demario, I wouldn't want him to be here with this bowl of crap. I'll be real with you. Demario doesn't deserve, a last year or two of his career to go through this kind of shit. Would he make our defense better? Yes, he would. Without a doubt. He's a guy who plays downhill. You don't see him getting blown up there in the secondary, getting launched. He would end up being a leader that put foot in an ass. But this move is about 8 years too late. So I don't really believe that the Cowboys are going to be making any moves here. Not anything of any consequence. I think that this is all part of the sales job from Jerry Jones. So that's all we got, man. That's all we got. Now, of course, we're rehashing the stories of Maxx Crosby. Makes a lot of sense. I will say Maxx Crosby will cost you more and would end up being a better thing to do because he's a known commodity, and that that you have him at least signed for 2 more years, as opposed to Trey Henderson, who would cost you less. But Trey Henderson, you're going to have to pay him big-time bucks at the end of the year, and we know how that goes with the Cowboys. It's hell right now in here. And, what'll happen with our Cowboys will be, knowing our Cowboys that lose one week and win the next week, you might end up finally beating Kyler Murray in Dallas. In which case, then, you're back to 500, and Jerry Jones is still, it's not the coaches, it's not the players, it's execution. No, the players suck, Jerry. The players you brought here suck. The coaches you brought here sucked. You had the guy here, and you let him go. You've had players here that were good, and you didn't want to pay him. So, we are what Jerry wants us to be, which is an organization that literally is just stuck in stupidness. And I don't know how else to explain it, but that's exactly where we are. It's exactly where we are.
This is not us making this up. This is actual reporting of Jerry Jones talking about being a general manager. I've done it all, okay? So I have an inordinate amount of confidence that, if anybody can figure out how to get this shit done, I can figure out how to get it done, John said. I've been there every which way from Sunday. And have I busted my ass a bunch? A bunch. And there's nobody living that out cutting and out shooting that can give you a bunch of times they busted their ass. So hell no. There's nobody that could fucking come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM any better than I can. Now, Jerry, congrats on talking your shit.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Think about the decades and decades of the people and fans saying Jerry needs to get his hands out of the team's business. Ever since Jerry has started running things, we haven't been good. He got rid of Jimmy. And then nobody's able to check Jerry. And Jerry's just got his little fingers and everything. He's making decisions. He's drafting from the yacht. He's cutting people. He's negotiating deals. He's calling plays sometimes. Shit, he will get out there and throw the ball himself if he wants to. That is what people say. That's why the Cowboys haven't been good. So if this is a new interview or if this is Clarence Hill Jr. writing about something that happened back in the day, it's like, shout out to Jerry Jones just finally telling everybody, hey, eat shit.